We start in the United States, where President Biden has said the man who drove a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans, killing 15 people, had posted videos supporting Islamic State hours before the attack. The man has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsud-Din Jabbar, a U.S. citizen and Army veteran from Texas. The attacker was killed in a shootout with police in which 2 officers were injured. Authorities say the attack was an act of terrorism and Jabbar wasn't the only one responsible. This picture from social media, checked by our team at BBC Verify, shows law enforcement, many heavily armed, surrounding a white pickup truck in the aftermath of the incident. A flag for the Islamic State group was found in the vehicle, along with potential explosive devices. Tom Bateman reports.
New Orleans at New Year's Eve. This part of the city is its best known, a tourism and nightlife hotspot. Just after 3 a.m, chaos unfolds. The first signs of panic as police race to the scene. What they find, much of which is too graphic to show, is the immediate aftermath of a ramming attack. Officers say a man in a pickup truck ploughed into a crowd, trying to run over as many people as he could. He then unleashed a shootout with police, who fired back and killed him.
It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did.
A British tourist, Steve Hyde, was in the city to celebrate his birthday.
I was in a bar 15, 20 metres from Bourbon, and we were all having a great time. I'd been in there for maybe 2.5 hours at that point. And then we heard shots and saw people running past the window, and didn't really know, what was going on. Obviously, we heard the shots. We knew it wasn't going to be good.
Dozens were wounded, including 2 police officers hit by gunfire. Police evacuated a wide area and say they found a potential explosive device in the truck and other possible devices outside it before they carried out controlled explosions. The FBI says the attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism. At the latest press conference, officials have given more information about the suspect.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsud-Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject became in possession of this vehicle. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
Investigators are scouring the scene for clues as further details emerge about Shamsud-Din Jabbar, including his U.S. military background. This afternoon, President Biden gave his reaction.
I've spoken to every member of the agency, from the CIA to our national security team, to our FBI, NSC, and we're gathering all the, and I spent a lot of time with the government, with the mayor.
What was your reaction when you heard what happened?
Well, the reaction was one of anger and frustration. Thank you.
He says the White House is offering its full support to the city, which is now ushering in the new year, grieving its dead and praying for the wounded.
Let's go live to New Orleans now. Our correspondent Carl Nasman is there. Carl, what is the latest?
This investigation tonight continues. You can see behind me the police vehicles, authorities still on the scene. This is still an active investigation here. You probably can't see it now. There's a few vehicles in the way, but we're just at the entrance to Bourbon Street, where that truck did drive through that crowd in the early hours of New Year's Day. Some details are still being worked out. Authorities tonight have really been focusing in on Whether or not there were accomplices involved, that's still a bit murky. It seems as if there were some people seen on CCTV that they may have been cleared, that were around some areas where some potential explosive devices had been found. There's a couple of areas now where this investigation is being expanded to beyond just where we're standing now. One is also in New Orleans, about a couple of miles from where we are, a rental Airbnb where it's believed the suspect may have stayed, may have been creating explosives there. There was a suspicious fire that took place a couple of hours after this incident took place here. It's also expanded to another state. Authorities have been looking at a home in Houston, Texas. That, of course, is where the suspect has been living. They're currently searching that residence there. We're wondering if they'll get more clues, more information about potential motives, potential links, of course, to the Islamic State group. All of that taking place across this state, across this city. Really an entire investigation by the FBI, by state police, by local police. A very big, obviously, effort right now to get to the bottom of exactly what happened and why.
Okay, Carl, and do tell us more about the suspect. What do we know about Shamsud-Din Jabbar?
Yeah, well, we know quite a lot, a few details here. So he's 42 years old, an American citizen, born in Texas, had been living in Houston, Texas. Was also a member recently of the U.S. Army. Had spent several years in the military. In 2009, had been deployed to Afghanistan. Not clear, pretty certain he didn't see any active duty, was mostly involved in things like IT, human resources, and later went on to try his hand at real estate in Texas, which, according to some reports, was less than successful. Had some struggles in his personal life, we believe, as well. A few divorces. There have been some trouble potentially within the family, some restraining orders maybe. This is all going into some court documents that are publicly available. But especially looking at that military record, I think that's what's piquing a lot of people's interest. There have been previous incidents in the United States that involved potential acts of terror taking place even on military bases in the U.S. So those links to the military are something that authorities are looking into right now as well.
And tell us more about what President Biden had to say about this attack.
Yeah, it's interesting. We heard after this attack from the current president, Joe Biden, and we heard from the soon-to-be president, future President Donald Trump. Joe Biden coming out, condemning the attack, expressing his condolences, obviously, for the victims here and saying there's simply no place in any city in America for this kind of violence. Donald Trump, a bit more outspoken, you might say, on social media early on before we knew too many details. He was seeming to imply that the perpetrator, the suspects, might have come across the border. We now know that's not true, but that was his statement that came out really in the moments after that attack. So really pretty contrasting views here from those two presidents, but Joe Biden very much expressing his condolences. And we also know that in Washington, D.C. itself, we have plenty of big events coming up, not least the inauguration of Donald Trump, and authorities there say that they're now looking at stepping up security around some of those events in the nation's capital.
And Carl, just briefly, we know 15 people were killed in this attack. What about those who are still being treated and are in hospital?
Yeah, we know that a few people have been released from local hospitals, about 35 people injured in this attack, sent to several different hospitals around the area. We know that there were a few names being released now of the people that passed away, that total now up to 15. We still don't have all the names and all the identities here. We've actually, while we've been standing here tonight, seen the coroner pass by a couple of times entering Bourbon Street. We believe that some of that type of work is still going on, trying to determine the exact cause of death. We know that the suspect in this case had firearms on him. They're trying to work out whether or not these deaths were caused by the truck or by those shots that he fired. So there are still families tonight in New Orleans that may be wondering the fate of some of their relatives or friends, or wondering whether they're among the dead. We still don't have all 15 of those names, and that's still something that I think a lot of people in the city would love to know. That'll be a bit of closure, at least, for the city of New Orleans.
Okay, Carl, for now, thank you so much. Carl Nausman there, who is in New Orleans for us.